وهو عند الله عظيم آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Your second salawat for love of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And your loudest salawat for ta'ajil farj sahib al-asr wa zaman. There is a discussion that talks about the fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen and explains how great is that personality that the enemies have tried to belie his attributes, and the believers have hidden his attributes of fear for punishment, and yet still we have so many fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The status of Imam Ali that we can recognize is second only to that of the status of Rasulullah. Yet in history, his character is one that has been attacked many times, and that people have violated his right in many ways. The significance of this point is to talk about and to understand that how it was that in Islam you could have someone who was so close to Rasulullah and so great in status, and yet people would disregard him to this extent and would abuse him in such ways. And unfortunately, that system of abusing someone who is a person of faith and who has an identity with Allah did not end with the dawr of Amir al-Mu'mineen, but rather it persists till today. In our culture today, the concept of character assassination, the concept of attacking someone behind their back has not disappeared, rather it's flourished. It's become very extreme. And it's something that Islam tells us consistently over and over and over again that this is one of the things that's a very bad thing. For example, in Surah Nur, verse 15 that we began our discussion with, Allah makes the statement and He says, وَإِذْ تَلَقَّوْنَهُ بِأَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَتَقُولُونَ بِأَفْوَاهِكُمْ. When you received it with your tongues and news, and you spoke it with your mouths, مَا لَيْسَ لَكُمْ بِهِ عِلْمٌ, about something that you didn't know about. وَتَحْسَبُونَهُ حَيِّنًا, you thought it was something light and it was an easy affair, it wasn't important. وَهُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ, yet it was something great with Allah. To talk about something we don't have knowledge about, to discuss something or to discuss an affair that we haven't dealt with or that we don't know of, is something Allah dislikes, something Allah hates. It's something that Allah doesn't want to persist, which is why there's a discussion around this concept in Surah Hujurat as well too. In Surah Hujurat, verse number 12, and one of the important things of Surah Hujurat, the 49th chapter of the Quran, is it discusses many of the akhlaqiyat of building a community and how to live together peacefully and what are the rights of one another in Islam. Where Allah gives three things that الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم ولا تجسسوا ولا تغتب بعضكم بعضا أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه واتقوا الله إن الله تواب رحيم. upon. Never ever talk ill about. Why? Because he's beloved in the eyes of Allah. This concept is something today it's lost. And the reason that it's lost is you can see that we can anonymously and individually, without someone knowing, spread bad news about another person. And we can do it and say that I have proof, and send a picture, send a video, send something in some way that degrades the status of a believer. Allah's love for a believer is such that He who is Sattar al-Uyub, the one who covers the flaws, likes that if someone has Iman in Allah, that you cover their flaws and you hide their mistakes, not to expose them. When I go through the process of exposing that which Allah has not exposed, that's if it's true. And if it's not true, imagine the azamat of the sin that's been earned by this. We've thought that it's our right, that now that I can speak to the world and say something that I know I should say it. I can talk about people, I should say what I have to say. It's my right, it's my story. It's my narrative that I can tell. This is not Islam. This is not the character that we want to behave with, nor is it something that Allah appreciates. There's no such thing as turning around and saying, well, I can announce it to whoever I want to. Now, yes, let's imagine, na'uzubillah, that it is a mu'min who has oppressed you and abused your right. I have the right to seek justice. But most of the people who today sit on the internet and forward things and share things and announce things and destroy character aren't looking for justice. They're just looking to expose and defame another person. If there was a person who could give us our right to share the information that we possess with that person, is appropriate. Beyond that, it's not appropriate. It's not halal, it's not jaiz. And the excuse that's used is, well, it's my story, I'm allowed to tell it. No. When it comes to Iman, it's a responsibility to protect it. The worst that's become is that now I want to expose someone, but I don't want anyone to know that I exposed them. So I anonymously forward. I send it to another person. But I don't want to put my label to say that, no, it happened to me. I just want to say this is a bad person. The world should know they're a bad person. This isn't Islam. This is character assassination. This is the technique of the Banu Umayyah. You can't call yourself a Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen and act the way the Banu Umayyah did about Amir al-Mu'mineen. The stealing of the fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the abuse of his character, was something that the Banu Umayyah did by hiding their identities and then attacking the character of Amir al-Mu'mineen. One of the very famous lines in Sham, when the news was received that Amir al-Mu'mineen was shaheed and martyred, when the narrative came that Amir al-Mu'mineen was in the mihrab praying salat, the people of Sham said, Ali used to pray? Ali knew how to pray? Why? Because the character assassination was so bad that Ali is not even a Muslim, na'uzubillah. They went that far to attack the character of Amir al-Mu'mineen that people used to say, Ali prays, Ali does not pray. Where did this come from? It was the attribute of the Banu Umayyah. Ask them, who told you Ali doesn't pray? I say, ma'roof, it's known. We all know it. What was going on? It was character assassination. They tried to destroy and defame the character of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and today we're doing that to each other. We're not protecting the right of the believers. We're not paying attention to each other. We're not taking the opportunity to go about and make sure that someone's character isn't destroyed. We've gone to the process of following the Banu Umayyah instead of following Ahlul Bayt. We want to forward, we want to share, we want to create attack pieces. I don't like this person, I don't know how to prove it. I'll say something bad about them and then it'll make them go away. There's two parts to this. One is the attribute of doing it and participating in the action of breaking someone's character. The second is the attribute of spreading it. And this is where it becomes frightening, is that the one who listens to it receives the same punishment as the one who spreads it or says it. That we have to be very careful about these things. The litmus of what is appropriate to share, what is inappropriate to share, comes from a very famous hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen, where he was asked, قِيلَ لَهُ مَا بَيْنَ الْحَقِّ وَالْبَاطِلِ. Someone asked Amir al-Mu'mineen, what is the difference, what is the fasila? How do you know the difference between something that is haqq, truth and justice, and what is batil? Amir al-Mu'mineen famously replies, فَقَالَ أَرْبَعَ أَصَابِعَ. 4 fingers is the difference between haqq and batil. Only 4 fingers. وَوَضَعَ أَصَابِعَهُ بَيْنَ أُذْنِهِ وَعَيْنِهِ. Amir al-Mu'mineen took his 4 fingers that he said is the difference between haqq and batil and placed them here, between his eyes and his ears. And you'll notice for every human being, no matter what your face is or your hand is, the distance between your eyes and your ears is a span of 4 fingers. ثُمَّ قَالَ الْبَاطِلُ أَن تَقُولُوا سَمِعْتَ وَالْحَقُّ أَن تَقُولُوا رَأَيْتَ. Amir al-Mu'mineen explains and he says, what is void, what is batil, what is falsehood, is that you say, I heard. And what is truthful and what is righteous is you say, I saw. If in today's society we use this as a litmus to understand how do we avoid character assassination, how do we avoid destroying someone's status, how do we ensure that the rights of a mu'min is preserved, and we simply brought it back to thinking about this element. Did I see it with my own eyes that I can talk about it? Did I see it with my own eyes that I can confirm it? Or did I watch a video? Did I see a forward? Was it a WhatsApp message that was sent to me? Was I even a part of the conversation to be talking about this? And we'll find that many times we have no need to say anything on a subject. It's not relevant to us. It's not pertaining to us. And these were the tactics that they used against Amir al-Mu'mineen to try and to destroy the character of Imam Ali in society. The fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen are such that the children of Shaitan and Shaitan himself would announce the fadilat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And yet it was the people who were the enemies of Amir al-Mu'mineen who would try to destroy his character. We'll share some of the fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen to show you what I'm talking about, that even the children of Shaitan used to do the fadail of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad. There is a riwayah in the dawr of Rasulullah that a very frightening figure came into the masjid to see him. Everyone became frightened upon the entrance of this figure, and they did not know, is this a man or is this something else? As they became frightened, Rasulullah said, don't bother him, he's come to speak to me. This frightening being comes to Rasulullah and sits down and says, Ana Ham ibn Him ibn Lamis ibn Iblis. I am from the generations of Shaitan, and I would like to ask you a question. He's a grandchild of Shaitan. Rasulullah says, ask me. He says, since your grandfather Adam, we have been trying to misguide those who are on the guidance of Allah. And our entire purpose and our instruction from our fathers was that we are to misguide humanity. But every time we go near these anbiya and these pious figures to distract them, to abuse them, to harm them, always would show up a personality to stop us and scare us away. Whenever we would be afraid or sent away from the Nabi of Allah, we would assume it's the next Nabi who has come to protect the previous. But then when the next prophet would come, we would find that this is someone else, and the same person would come to protect him. And we always assumed it would be the next prophet, the next prophet, the next prophet. But now you have come, and you say you are the last of the anbiya. And it is not you who is protecting the previous anbiya that were present. Rasulullah says, this is true. What is your question? He says, then can you explain to me, who is it that has been protecting all of the anbiya from the first to the final? Rasulullah says, if I showed you him, would you recognize him? He says, yes. He has been causing fear in us for a long time. Sitting next to Rasulullah is Amir al-Mu'mineen. Rasulullah lifts up his face and says, O Ham, have you seen this man before? And he in fear steps back and says, this is the one who has been protecting all of the anbiya from the beginning till the end. Who is this one that creates fear in the children of Iblis? And Rasulullah explains and he says, this is my brother, this is my inheritor, this is my successor, this is the son of my uncle, this is Ali ibn Abi Talib, who Allah has designated as the wali and the awsiya of all of the anbiya. And therefore, Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And therefore he is the one who has protected the anbiya. Meaning the shayateen knew, the children of shaitan knew of the status and the fadilat of Amir al-Mu'mineen as the protector of the anbiya, the preserver of the message of Allah. And yet, it was the Muslimin who attacked his character. It was narrated in one of the narrations, Shaitan himself narrates, that once when he was dressed as a human being and he would come wearing a red cap, he says, I found a circle of men sitting around a fire late at night, which is where most shaitani things happen. So he says, I went to join them and I found them deriding the character of Ali. I snorted at the fact that these men are so foolish, that they are deriding and they are abusing the character of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and they are saying negative things about Ali. So one of the people turned to me and said, are you one of the friends of Ali that you are upset we are talking about him? Shaitan says, no, I'm not the friend of Ali, but I'm also smart enough not to attack Ali. They said, why? Why would you not attack Ali? Shaitan says, I exposed to them myself and I said, I am that one who worshipped Allah for 6,000 years on this earth. And then I worshipped Allah for 6,000 years in the heavens. My status was with the elite of the malaika. I swear to you, there was a day when one of the Nur al-Azim passed through the heavens over us. That was such an amazing Nur in the heavens of Allah, that as it came close to us, looking at it, we all fell into sujood. And we were overcome by this beautiful light Allah had created. When the light passed, we raised from sujood, and with the malaika we began to debate, Ma hadha nur? What is this light that we saw? Some would guess it was from the Anbiya. Some would guess it was from the Malaika. But as we were debating the point of what was this nur, a caller called out in the heavens, Hadha nuru Ali ibn Abi Talib. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Iblis says, if his nur is that the angels fall in prostration before him, I know better than to curse the character of Ali. And he warned the people in that time. But the people didn't take the warning. If you take a look and you see Amir al-Mu'mineen, they made him a stranger in his own lands. The animosity they had for Amir al-Mu'mineen was not something that showed up at the end of his life. Rather, they made him a stranger in the city of Medina right after the shahadat of Rasulullah. There's a narration that says that Amir al-Mu'mineen, after shahadat of Rasulullah, no one would say salamun alaykum to Ali in the city of Medina. In one of those days, shortly thereafter, Ali ibn Abi Talib came home. Zahra stood at the door waiting for him and said, Oh Ali, salamun alaykum. Is it true what they say, that people don't say salam to you anymore? He says, Oh Zahra, it is even worse. They won't even reply to me when I say salam to them. Amir al-Mu'mineen became a stranger inside of the lands of Islam. They attacked his character so much, that Amir al-Mu'mineen in his final wasiyah said, Oh Hassan, I am afraid they will desecrate my body after I am buried. Because the Khawarij had taken an oath that if we find even the body of Ali, we'll desecrate it. So he said, Oh Hassan, I want you to bury me in the night. These Ahl al-Kisa, the abuses they suffered only increased. When Rasulullah died on this earth, there were only a very few people who came to the janazah of Rasulullah. When Zahra left this earth, she left in anger such that she wanted no one to know the location of her grave. When Amir al-Mu'mineen becomes shaheed, he says, bury me in the darkness so that no one knows to desecrate my body. But when Imam Hassan is shaheed, they actually shoot arrows at the body of Hassan ibn Ali. And wa Hussein, they didn't even give you a kafan. They left you in such a condition that they trampled your body and left it uncovered under the sky. The Ahl al-Kisa went through masayib upon masayib. But tonight is the night we discuss the burial of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He gave instruction to his son, Oh Hassan, when my time is there, then bury me in the middle of the night. They describe and say that when the ghusl was done, Imam Hassan called to the keeper of the Akfan al-Jannah, the coffin that came from heaven, which were 5 that were sent from heaven. One for Sayyidah Khadija, one for Rasulullah, one for Zahra, one for Amir al-Mu'mineen, one for Imam Hassan. These kafan after the shahadat of Sayyidah Zahra were kept in the amana of Sayyidah Zayd. Imam Hassan says, "Oh sister, give me the kafan sent from heaven for our father." He completes the kafan. The wasiyah of Amir al-Mu'mineen explained, "Oh Hassan, when the time comes to take me, you lift my body from the back with Hussein. From the front, Jibreel and Mikael will lift my body in the middle of the night. Oh Hassan, when they take you outside, go to the place where a column of light is rising from the ground, and you will find that my grave has been made." Today, if Allah gives us tawfiq, if you go to Kufa, you can see the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen by Masjid Kufa. Imagine now from Masjid Kufa, how far is the grave of Ali ibn Abi Talib? In the middle of the night, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, in the middle of the darkness, raised this body and began to proceed in the direction of the light as they were led by Jibreel and Mikael. There's a description that says on the way to this grave is a masjid known as Masjid Hannana. Masjid Hannana takes its honor from this moment that it said that this is that masjid that when the janazah of Ali passed it in the middle of the night, that the walls groaned and cried in sorrow as the janazah of Ali left this place. In the middle of the night, they say, we found a place far from our house in Kufa where the light rose from the ground. When we removed some of the stones, we found that a grave had been made already. We looked inside of the grave and we found in there a shield. When Imam Hassan reads the inscription, on it it says, هَذَا مِن نَبِيِّ اللَّهِ نُوحٍ لِخَلِيفَةِ اللَّهِ عَلِيٍّ. There is a shield that was left in the grave of Ali as a gift from Nuh alayhi salam to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imam Hassan removed this shield. He placed his father in the ground. They completed the burial. There was no marker placed on the grave of Ali. No one knew where my Imam was buried for almost 100 years. Until it was eventually the door after Imam Zainul Abidin that it was started to expose to the people where was my Imam buried. It's narrated to say that as Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein left this grave in the middle of the night, they heard from the wilderness a crying coming. They imagined who is crying in the middle of the wilderness in this night. Imam Hassan says, brother, I am the Imam of the time. We must go see what the affair is. They said, we found in this wilderness a small hut. In it was a man who was weeping. We said to this man, who are you? He says, I am a blind old man with nothing. They said, why do you cry? He said, it has been 3 days since my Muhsin has come to see me. A Muhsin is one who does good. They said, who is this? He says, I don't know who he was, but he would come and sit with me and bring me food, so I was not alone. Whenever I would ask him, who are you? He would say, Ana gharib, jalisun ma'al gharib. I am a stranger sitting with a stranger. I did not know who he was. Imam Hassan says, maybe we can look for him, describe him to me. He says, I am blind, but I can tell you one thing about this man. When he would do the hamd and thana of Allah as he sat with me, my walls and the stones on the ground would do hamd and thana with him. Imam Hassan cries and he says, oh man, you have described my father Ali. You have not seen him for 3 days because they struck him with a poisoned sword. They killed him. They said the old man began to cry in this moment and proceeded out into the wilderness. Imam Hassan calls, old man, where are you going in the darkness? He says, take me to my Muhsin. You mean to tell me the one who cared for me was the representative of Allah on this earth? I wish to go to him. They describe and say it's written to said that this man went to the grave of Amir al-Mu'mineen, lay on top of it and wept until he died in that moment. Imam Hassan buries this man and again they return back towards the house. As they approach the house in Kufa, again the sounds of a crying can be heard in the middle of the night. How difficult this night, they imagine, I would say. When they find the house, it is the house of Ali from which weeping is coming. When they enter, they find Sayyidah Zainab sitting on the musalla of her father. Imam Hassan asks, oh sister, why do you cry? The reply that would come is, our father left us alone now. He was the shade under which we were protected. Baba left us in this condition. Why did our father leave us like this? I would imagine in this moment Sayyidah Zainab has 12 brothers, and each of those brothers would have sat around his sister, offering her comfort, offering her words of kindness, offering her comfort in any way that he could. Amongst them all, I would tell you, I imagine a restless 13-year-old boy who would sit there and say, "Sister, how can you cry when you have been left in my care? How will I answer Baba that Abbas could not care for his sister and she would weep in your absence? Sister, do not cry in this way. Abbas is still here. Baba has made it my responsibility to care for you after he has gone." I would imagine that this sister is the one who bears this difficulty, bears the shahada of Imam Hassan. And then it is in the land of Karbala, the greatest of difficulties, where now she would say as she weeps over Hussein ibn Ali, "Oh Abbas, where are you now? Why do you not answer your sister?" Oh Sayyidah Zainab, in that moment when Abbas will not answer you, in that night the one who will come to comfort you is none other than Ali himself. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون رضا بقضائه وتسليما لأمره ندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم. We raise our hands in dua. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Mahmoud بحق محمد يا أعلى بحق علي يا فاطر السماوات بحق فاطمة يا محسن بحق الحسن يا قديم الأحسان بحق الحسين. Ya Allah, accept the small ibadah from us. Ya Allah, give the thawab of this majlis to our marhumin, the marhumin of tonight's sponsors, and all those who are present and all those who are in need of dua. Ya Allah, by the right and wasila of Ahlul Bayt, fulfill our hajat. Ya Allah, by the right and wasila of Ahlul Bayt in the Quran, remove our sicknesses and diseases from us, our families, and all those in need of dua. Ya Allah, bring aman and peace to the mu'mineen wherever they may be. Ya Allah, keep our children on the upright path of Islam. Hasten the reappearance of Sahib al-Zaman. Make us and our families from the upright supporters of Sahib al-Zaman. 1 Surah Fatiha, 3 times Surah Ikhlas. Ma'as salawat.